Van Johnson names the gay actors of old Hollywood who hid their love, revealing the secret lives and heartbreaks behind Tinseltown's golden curtain. And wait till you hear who made the list. One heartthrob risked everything for a forbidden midnight dance. Imagine the sting of cigarette smoke swirling under low lights in a Beverly Hills lounge, 1950. Over in the corner, a hush falls as a studio darling slips out the back, ducking the flash of a tabloid camera, hiding a secret that could cost him everything. This was the age of silver screen saints and scandal-chasing sinners, when love was whispered, not declared. Van Johnson's story unfolds like a reel of celluloid secrets, peeling back the layers of Hollywood's glitziest and most dangerous lie. How many legends risk their hearts under the threat of exile? Today, we pry open the velvet vault and expose the truth. Would you have dared to love in plain sight? Hit subscribe and buckle up for a story even the tabloids wouldn't print. Van Johnson enters the world on August 25, 1916, in Newport, Rhode Island, a place better known for wealthy vacationers than future Hollywood rebels. His father, Charles, ran a plumbing business, while his mother, Loretta, vanished from his life at the age of 3. A lonely boy in a cold seaside town, Van found comfort in tap shoes and sheet music, escaping a home that offered more silence than laughter. Who would guess that this shy kid would soon become MGM's all-American poster boy? By his teens, Johnson's talent shines brighter than any lighthouse on the Rhode Island coast. He dances, he sings, he cracks wise, his energy is infectious, almost blinding. Yet under that 1,000-watt smile, a chronic outsider peeks through. After high school, he hitches a ride to New York City. Broadway spots him, and soon he's touring with the likes of June Allison and Milton Berle. Johnson's blonde hair, square jaw, and boy-next-door aura are catnip to the Hollywood moguls scouting talent east of the Hudson. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer comes calling. Van hits the Hollywood tarmac in 1942, hungry for fame but quickly learning the studio game is far more cutthroat than any chorus line. MGM molds him into their ideal, clean-cut, scandal-free, and above all, marketable. He snags roles in A Guy Named Joe, 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, and Brigadoon. The country's at war, audiences want comfort, and Van delivers, always with a bashful grin and a twinkle that hides as much as it reveals. But behind the posters and press junkets, Johnson's personal life is carefully, almost painfully, stage-managed. Rumors swirl among the gossip columnists. Why does Van, the eligible bachelor, always leave parties early? Who's that handsome friend always at his side? In a studio system that polices every move, Johnson's private world is a shadow play, choreographed to perfection. Studio head Louis B. Mayer, ruthless and vigilant, arranges a marriage for Van to Eve Abbott, recently widowed by Johnson's own best friend, Keenan Wynn. It's a wedding that feels less like romance and more like insurance. Still, the heart wants what it wants. Whispered stories among MGM's inner circle, never in the press, suggest Van Johnson harbored affection for men in an era when even a rumor could end a career. Yet he keeps up appearances, starring opposite June Allison, Judy Garland, and Esther Williams, always America's boyfriend on the silver screen. But at night, behind locked doors or in secret garden parties in Brentwood, Van finds a sanctuary with those who share his truth. He isn't alone. Hollywood in the 40s and 50s is a wonderland of double lives, where everyone is acting, even off-set. Some risk blackmail, others suffer in silence, and a select few build lifelong partnerships that stay out of the frame, hidden by loyalty and fear. Van's struggle is emblematic of hundreds, a testament to the sacrifices demanded by a city obsessed with perfect images. As his career rockets, so does the tension between the public fantasy and his private yearning. Scandal never quite catches him, but neither does peace. His marriage dissolves, friendships wax and wane, always colored by the need for secrecy. By the 1960s, Van's star fades from the A-list, but he remains a staple on TV and the stage, ever the consummate professional. ever the keeper of secrets. All those battles carved a blacklist into his memory. Late in life, Van Johnson finally opened his private notebook. Here are the 10 biggest legends he couldn't forget, gay actors of old Hollywood who hid their love. Rock Hudson. Palm trees shudder under the Santa Ana winds on a 1954 Universal backlot as Rock Hudson sweeps onto set, every inch the rugged heartthrob America adores. Yet after the wrap-up, he drives home to a quiet bungalow where romance blooms behind blackout curtains. Hudson's relationship with Agent Henry Wilson is said to have protected him, at a price: perpetual lies, staged dates, and a studio-arranged marriage to keep the columnists off the scent. Rock could break a woman's heart by looking at her, but he only ever let men see him cry, Van allegedly confessed to a friend. It said the closet was roomier for stars, but the air was just as suffocating, and the next man on Van's list felt every inch of it. Anthony Perkins. On a rain-slicked Paramount lot in 1958, Anthony Perkins rehearses Norman Bates's most chilling stare. But off-camera, he's painfully shy, shrinking from crowds, scribbling secret love letters to fellow actors. Perkins's liaisons with Tab Hunter and other young leading men were Hollywood's most open secret, whispered about but never printed. To protect his reputation, he's pushed into dating starlets and even marries Barry Berenson, while hiding his deepest affections. Tony's heart was pure, but he lived every day with one foot in the shadows, Van is said to have remarked. Hiding love meant hiding yourself, and for Perkins, that split lasted a lifetime. Next up, someone who turned coded glances into an art form, James Dean. Imagine on a smoky night in 1955, James Dean leans against his motorcycle, eyes darting to a playwright lover waiting across Melrose Avenue. The world sees a daredevil, but his closest friends insist Jimmy's bravado masks deep loneliness. Dean's relationships with both men and women are rumored among insiders, but his studio contracts demand total silence. Every flirtatious glance is monitored, every phone call, suspect. He confides in Van over late-night beers, hinting at affairs with both directors and co-stars. Dean never let anyone own his heart, but he tried once to hand me the key, Van allegedly wrote. A rebel on screen, a prisoner off it. James Dean's legacy is as complicated as the city that made him. But who's next? A song and dance man with a love story fit for the stage. Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly bounds onto the set of Singin' in the Rain. Raincoat swirling, feet flying, but the real dance is happening after midnight, behind soundproofed doors in his Beverly Hills hideaway. Studio handlers cover for Kelly's rumored affairs with both men and women, but the press only gets wind of his tempestuous marriages. Friends claim he found true happiness with a male dancer during his Broadway days, a romance never acknowledged outside hushed dinner parties. Gene could charm a nation, but he only sang love songs in private, Van is rumored to have mused. Talent could open every door, except the one that mattered most. The next legend on Van's list? A comic genius who wore his mask better than anyone. Paul Lynde. Under the blazing lights of the Hollywood Squares set, Paul Lynde delivers another sly zinger. His timing perfect, his laughter infectious. Offstage, however, he endures heartbreak after heartbreak, haunted by rumors and real risks. Linde's wit is a razor-sharp defense against Hollywood's homophobia. Friends say he kept lovers at arm's length, fearing both scandal and loneliness. Despite his flamboyance, he's forced to disguise his true life behind comedy. Paul made the world laugh, but he was crying inside. Nobody guessed how lonely that stage could get, Van allegedly told an interviewer. For every punchline, there's a secret pain. But the next name, Hollywood's golden boy, with eyes that hid oceans. Tab Hunter. 1950s Hollywood. Tab Hunter strolls the Warner Brothers lot, all blue eyes and effortless charm. But his romantic life is a minefield, mapped by publicists and studio execs. Hunter's relationships with Anthony Perkins and figure skater Ronnie Robertson are buried under a mountain of fake gossip and beard dates. When a tabloid threatens to out him, Warner Brothers scrambles to shield their asset, sending him on a faux romance tour with Natalie Wood. Tab had the world's prettiest smile, but you could see the worry lines underneath if you looked close enough, Van is said to have reflected. Being wanted by millions didn't mean you could love one. Up next, a musical icon whose leading lady's looks brought both adoration and fear. Ramon Novaro. Candlelight flickers in a Spanish-style mansion, 1928. Ramon Novaro, silent film superstar, hosts private soirees for a circle of confidants. He's adored by fans and envied by rivals, but the specter of blackmail never leaves his side. Novaro's relationships are shrouded in secrecy, and even after the talkies arrive, the threat of exposure follows him everywhere. Studio bosses are said to have destroyed letters and photos, erasing evidence of his love affairs. Ramon played doomed lovers on screen, and sometimes I wondered if he ever believed in happy endings, Van reportedly told his inner circle. Not all tragedies are fiction. Next, we move to a theater king whose offstage act was his bravest performance. Clifton Webb. Imagine a cocktail party, 1943. Clifton Webb, resplendent in a velvet jacket, holds court with his razor wit and elegant charm. His close relationship with his mother is fodder for gossip, but Webb's personal life is a carefully curated enigma. Insiders claim Webb's devotion to male friends was deeper than friendship, though he never confirmed any relationship. He's said to have turned down every eligible woman in Hollywood, preferring long walks and opera evenings with his inner circle. Clifton's life was a perfectly written mystery, one only he knew how to read, Van allegedly remarked in his memoirs. Sometimes the best roles are never credited, but the next man? Even the censors couldn't keep up with him. William Haynes. On a 1930s backlot, William Haynes cracks jokes between takes, openly living with his partner, Jimmy Shields, while the world pretends not to notice. Haynes is MGM's biggest box office draw, until Louis B. Mayer gives him an ultimatum: marry a woman or lose his career. Haynes chooses love over fame, refusing to deny his true self. Exiled from the screen, he reinvents himself as an acclaimed interior designer, hosting legendary parties with Shields for Hollywood's hidden community. Billy was the bravest man I ever knew. He walked away from everything except love, Van is said to have admired. Being true costs everything, but the payoff is freedom. Last on the list, a director whose genius and secrecy shaped every frame. George Cukor. A red velvet director's chair sits empty on the set of My Fair Lady. George Cukor has slipped away to a secluded garden party, where Hollywood's closeted elite can breathe easy for a night. Cukor's reputation as the women's director is Hollywood code. His home is a sanctuary for those living double lives. Friends insist he protected countless actors from blackmail, offering advice and a place to be themselves. George staged every scene like he was building a fortress, one that kept secrets safe, Van reportedly said at a private dinner. Every city needs its guardians. But what about the next generation? Will they inherit a freer world or just a shinier mask? As the credits roll on Van Johnson's confessions, the echoes of old Hollywood's secret loves linger in the corners of every soundstage and behind every closed door. These 10 men, icons, heartbreakers, survivors, lived at a crossroads of desire and danger, forced to choose between love and legend. Their stories are reminders that even the brightest spotlight can cast the longest shadows. Yet in their courage, however hidden, lies a spark that helped change an entire culture. Would Van's generation have believed that one day, love could walk the red carpet hand in hand? Some details derive from second-hand set lore. Interpret at your own peril. The moral? Talent makes stars, but truth makes history. Whose story surprised you most? Who would you add to Van Johnson's hidden list? Drop your take in the comments below. Hit subscribe for more Hollywood deep dives, and tune in tomorrow for a secret so wild, even Hedda Hopper missed it.